Welcome to another episode. Today with us, we're going to have someone very special from Fintech. He should be joining shortly. And once he does, we're going to kick off a very, very interesting discussion. I hope you all enjoy this. He should be joining us shortly. We'll let you know as soon as he's in. Ashok, thank you very much for joining. I know you work at the Finnish Global Center, but I want to pass directly the floor to you. Introduce yourself and tell the world who you are and what you do.
Alex, thank you for reaching out and happy to be talking about us and what we do and so on and so forth. I am Ashok Mittal. I'm the CEO and founder of Fintech Global Center. We have been building trading systems for the global financial industry for last 30 years, and our latest foray in the market is we have a product called FGC TMS, which is a fixed income trading and trade management system that has replaced Bloomberg Toms for several broker dealers. It's a big effort. It's an interesting effort that has found a lot of interest in the marketplace for the reason we bring a lot of efficiencies and cost reductions from the current environment, and it provides a better set of tools to the market participants.
Okay. All right. I also understand from our discussion that you dealt a little bit with fixed income trading systems, right? So it's not my field at all. So please correct me where I'm wrong, where I'm not.
No, no, that's what it is. We have been building trading systems for last 30 years, and we have traded, or our customers have traded trillions of dollars worth transactions on our platform. We do support, equities, credit, interest rate options, exotic options, inflation, a lot of various products. But for the last, I would say, 8 to 10 years, a lot of focus has been in fixed income trading. Yes,
Okay. So what is fintech to you and why is it important?
that's a great question. We believe uh, in creating value for our customers. What is fintech to us? Fintech to us is, can we deliver our products and services faster, better, and cheaper to our constituent, right? Now, what does that mean? If you take a look at it in a traditional sense, you get only two of faster, better, and cheaper. Something that's faster and better is probably not cheaper.
Not cheaper, yeah.
If you are trying to do better and cheaper, it's going to take time, right? So there's a challenge in the industry. We believe that we have the ability to deliver financial systems and solutions faster, better, and cheaper. Faster because we've been doing it for a long time. We know these markets really well. We know the products really well. So we don't have to spend time trying to understand how things work, right? We can do that. We can do better because we are, on the leading edge of technology. We know what is the latest, how do you build at the latest and so on and so forth. And we have an R&D center out of India that offers cost advantage. So we are truly trying to bring the latest and greatest to the financial industry in the best way possible. That's fintech to us.
And you're combining SaaS with it, from what I understand, right? And
That
what
is
made you
correct.
think of that could work in such an environment as fintech?
Look, I think we are slowly moving in the direction for the last 10, 15, 20 years of taking a siloed approach to how do you do your business, right? The important part is more and more companies realize that they cannot do everything themselves, right? It's expensive. you don't have all kind of expertise and so on and so forth. So software as a service model is extremely popular and important. And yeah, if you can offer a contained service in a way that makes sense to the customer, such that they can just utilize the service with minimal IT and support and operations cost from their perspective, and it's a product that does the job for them, they are more than happy to deal with it. So yes, our FGCTMS is a software as a service product that allows somebody to manage their fixed income trading business effectively and efficiently.
How do you convince broker dealers to trust new core systems? Because it doesn't sound like the old dinosaurs would be willing to uh, adapt to change.
Alex, this is a great question, right? That's how do you convince someone
To
is
try
a
something new.
factor of multiple? Yeah, no, absolutely. Is a set of multiple things, right? The first is really trust, right? When you approach someone, if they are handing over a crucial part of their business to you, or the ability to do their business to you, the first thing that's extremely important is trust, right? They
Hmm.
have to be able to trust you that you know and you can do it. Then honesty and integrity, it's important. They want to know that you are committed to their best interest as well. Of course, it's a business and you're looking out for your own interest as well, but they want to know and understand that you care, right? You care for their business. Once you have identified that you are a trustworthy business, trustworthy partner, um, then it comes to capabilities. Like, do you understand? Do you understand what
Hmm.
it takes to provide those kind of products and services, right? And the third thing is that in this day and age, and ever before as well, you have to be extremely cost efficient, right? So you have to be able to create trust, right? You have to be able to prove that you know what you are talking about, and you have to be able to do it in a cost efficient manner. Once you have those check boxes and you hope their needs align with what you have in terms of timing, then it's magic.
One mistake though could cost a lot of money. So again, how do people ultimately take that leap of faith?
Again, a great question. Yes. So, what we do is that we have, first of all, we bring a tremendous amount of cost saving through what we are doing, right? So, right away, the initial value prop, after we have proven that we know what we are talking about, we are trustworthy, here is a tremendous amount of cost saving. What
Right.
we do next is we have a very well defined migration process in place, or onboarding process in place. So there is a small fee associated with migration. However, the philosophy or the strategy is that you run your business processes in parallel. So here is your system. This is what you do right now. Run this in parallel, right? And when you are satisfied, switch over. We have a very, very well defined onboarding, testing, and running it in parallel process. Once you get comfortable that you do not have, any critical business risk, then you can
Right.
switch over, right? At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, you haven't, put your business at risk. And during that time, the involvement needed from their side, from the customer side, is very minimal. So by putting in a small effort from their side, they are able to test it out, make sure everything works, understand the additional value that we bring to the table, and then the migration becomes really simple.
I see. I see. Okay. Let me shift a little bit from to your experience, right? What was the moment that you realized legacy fixed income systems needed to be replaced?
Alex, you're asking great questions. I don't know if I get too many, questions like that. A lot of people ask me this. Um, I think a lot of it is about where you are and the timing as well, right? Fixed income business is a business that has existed for a very long time. So why now, right? Like what you're asking, why? What is different now?
Yeah.
So I I feel that there is sort of like a perfect storm that has been created by multiple factors working together. One, um, the interest rates, especially let's say in US, have gone up quite
Mhm.
considerably, right? Just up until a few years ago, US treasuries were trading at 0.5%, 1%. Now they are somewhere in the range of about 4%. Now, a lot of people plan their retirement on a 4% hybrid return.
Okay.
That means, you put, let's say, 60% in fixed income, 40% in equity, and if you can save enough with a return of 4%, you can retire. Now, if you can get US Treasury at 4% or corporate bonds at 5 6%, or muni tax free around 5 6%, high yield at 7 8%, fixed income, why do I need to take an exposure for my equities, right? So the model portfolio for retirement has literally flipped from 60/40 to 40/60 or 30/70 or whatever, right? A lot of money is going into fixed income investments. So that's number one, right? When you have a lot of fixed income trading happening, um, you need help of technology, right? You need to be able to do things faster and better. Now, up until recently, you could get away by doing things in a slower traditional manner. But when the velocity increases of the transactions and trading and all that, you need help. You need help with technology. The third
Right.
thing that has happened simultaneously is your bid offer spreads have gone down. That means your profitability has gone down. That means you have to figure out not only how you can do things efficiently, but how can you reduce your cost as well. The existing products that exist in the marketplace are very expensive. So we came across a situation where we feel that through our products we can provide what the marketplace needs, in again what we were talking about earlier: faster, better, and cheaper. And that's the magic. That's the key today.
Okay. That's very interesting, and it's also very interesting to hear about this flip in retirement. Uh, okay. Do you think AI played a role into it, or crypto?
Yeah. AI is big, right? Everyone has identified, everyone has accepted. AI is making a big difference.
I'm not sure they have accepted it. I think there's a lot of panic around it.
Well, I think, I have seen the emergence of technology over the last, I would say, easily 40 years, from PCs, from computers to PCs to servers to internet,
Yeah.
to smartphones to cloud, and now AI. Right? It's there. I would say the fastest adoption of a technology that I have seen is AI. If you think about it, OpenAI changed the world in November 2022, right? And in the next year and a half or 2 years, every major company had already made an announcement to say either they are already using it or they are planning to use it in a significant way. It doesn't happen. You take any previous inventions, the adoption was never this fast. So it's there. It's there. It is impacting every aspect of the business and personal life as well, right? So yes, AI definitely had something to do with it, and AI will continue to impact every aspect of every business and personal experiences that people have.
Has it impacted fixed income trading? And if so, to what extent? Or do you think it will impact it even more?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you a couple of examples, right?
Please.
Hopefully that would make some sense. I always say that the two areas where people are most careful about in general in life are their health and their money, right?
Mm.
They are extremely cautious and conservative when it comes to health and money, especially in terms of protection and so on and so forth. So I do not believe that anytime soon we are going to see doctors being replaced and financial trading all being automated. Right?
Mm.
It's not going to happen fully automated at any given point in time near term. But the impact of AI is already big in both of these industries. And if you consider that they are already big in these two industries, the rest is a given as well, which is happening, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's design, right? Those things are happening already. Coming to your question about fixed income trading, in our product FGCTMS, we have incorporated two aspects of AI, and we continue to do more and more. The first one is how can I analyze a particular security on the fly, right? The world is changing quite fast on a regular basis. I want to understand, what is my exposure to a particular security, how it is being viewed, what is the news, and so on and so forth. Now, remember, this is not new, right? Most fixed income professional had to do this or did this. However, how you got that information was a little bit complex and a lot more expensive. Now,
Mm.
through the use of AI, you can just type in 5 lines and it will give you a tremendous set of analysis right then and there in terms of research, right? So being able to research what's happening in the marketplace around any particular given security has become very easy. It has democratized a bit of trading as well for everyone, right? In terms of how they can do it. The second part of use of AI we have is that we have built an MCP server and agentic process whereby you can trade certain aspects of your business very efficiently. So remember, like what I was saying, bid offer has compressed, and there are trades where you make less money, and then there are trades where you are likely to make more money. The goal is for low touch transactions, the transactions where, let's say, they are less than 25, 50, $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that, okay, this is my inventory, this is my price, this is my price band, this is my urgency, these are the different venues, these are the different protocols. Please run an analysis on the fly without me taking a look at it. And if something matches what I want to do, what my intent is, show it to me. So I don't have to constantly keep an eye on it. Again, some of the largest banks and buy side firms have spent millions of dollars in building this technology. With the use of AI, again, the democratization of the tools have happened where everyone can leverage these kind of tools to their own benefit. So AI is bringing a lot of efficiencies into the businesses. It's making things simpler. It's helping iterate through the solutions a little bit faster. and uh, step by step it will start solving more and more complex problems to the extent the user of it is comfortable.
Mm. Let me ask you something completely on the other side of the spectrum. Do you find any regulatory constraints in what you do? Because it sounds like you would.
Again, great point, right? It's a big debate as well that's going on right now. What is allowed, what is not allowed, and so on and so forth. There is a challenge with regulation in general, right? Regulators have limited resources, right? And the world moves really, really fast. So there is a practical aspect of regulations catching up to the speed of market innovation. It has been a problem all along, right? And there are times when the regulation um, cannot move fast enough, you have a problem. Like the 2008 subprime mortgage
Yeah.
crash, right, was an example of that. So regulators understand their limitations as well. At the same time, they don't want to over regulate because that could have a tendency to kill the market. So how do you
Also impact the
balance,
market.
right? That's a problem. Personally, having spoken to the regulators on a regular basis, right, what they are saying is that they are watching this very carefully. However, they also believe that their basic principle against which they regulate still holds true and can act as a driver for what happens next. So, what is that, right? Their rule is say what you do, right? Tell us, what do you do? Define it specifically, and then do what you say, right? And that's where they would check. So they're saying, okay, you want to use AI? Tell us what would you do, and then tell us that you did what you said you will, right? So you have to define your own rule book.
But do they do they ever actually do what they say they would do?
Well, look, that's the problem, right? That's the job of the regulator, and unfortunately, uh, Alex, like what you're saying, that's not just a problem of regulation or not, right? You can apply that to society in every aspect of wherever there is law and regulation is. Law and regulation don't necessarily fix everything, right? At the end of the day, it's people and its intent, and uh, i- there are, in my opinion, large number of people who respect law, and there are large number of people who respect regulation, and there are always some people who do not respect law, and there are some people who do not respect regulation. It's just the nature of it, right? It doesn't make law or regulation good or bad, or people good or bad. It's about, you know who wants to follow what is law and regulation.
What's part of that social contract that we've all signed?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yep.
Okay, let me move a little bit to the dealers and institutions, right? So, how long does a typical adoption cycle take, and where does it usually stall?
Yeah, so for us, because we have been doing this for a while, we have a very well defined process, and we are comfortable that we can migrate people away from existing infrastructure to FGC TMS in 3 months. In 3 months, they can switch over from one to another after having tested and making sure everything runs as expected in parallel. There are times when it is less than 3 months, when you have the deficiency of tools, you don't have the right set of tools, and you just want to get onboarded and started. So we are able to do it even faster. So there's a well defined process that gives us confidence and the client confidence that they are on the right path for better tools at a much more cost efficient in a much more cost efficient manner.
Okay, all right, fair enough. In terms of the savings, are they capex, opex, or are they true efficiency gains? For those that are listening, because finance not my world.
No, I think it's actually mostly OPEX and mostly efficiencies. Um, there have been companies who have done a lot of capex expense, but when you offer software as a service, your capex goes away, right? That's one of the biggest advantages of software as a service model, right? You are paying over a period of time as opposed to doing capex and then changing it over. Right now, we reduce their OPEX by at least 50%, if not more. But for us, it's not only the OPEX, but it's the additional gained efficiency which is critical. The current set of tools, it's very hard to customize, and like what I said, the business has changed, the world has changed, and for you to be able to trade efficiently in the marketplace, being able to customize your workflows, address your low profit and high profit transactions and so on and so forth, and being able to um, you know work in the market such that the business stays profitable is the are the important factors. So to answer your question, it's uh, huge opex savings and huge efficiency gains, which
Got
is
it.
why we are seeing the kind of success that we are seeing as well, because we bring tremendous savings on both fronts.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I want to ask you something, and you don't have to name drop if you don't want to name drop, but do you have a case where something went completely wrong, or a case where you had to do major shifts for a client? Again, without having to name drop anyone.
Yeah, we even if you see on our website and all that, where the testimonials are key and all that, we work in an industry that's extremely protective of their name and information and all that. So yes, we cannot name our customers, but look, multiple cases, one after the other. Like what I said, we saw in the marketplace several fixed income trading desks whose profitability, because of the bid offer compression and the electronification of the markets, went down anywhere from 30% to 60%. 30% to 60% reduction in profit is huge.
It
Remember
is.
that most businesses around the world operate in the 10 to 40% of return to the bottom line, right? And 40% mostly on the tech, but non-tech businesses are more good. Non-tech businesses are in the 10 to 20% range. If your profitability is down by 30 to 60%, most businesses will struggle, right? And we came across multiple instances where the businesses are like, this is not affordable anymore, right? That means the reduction of the cost and improvement of the efficiencies were needed right now. That's really where we are. That's really where we are in terms of industry, and that's one of the reason why we are seeing, touchwood, great success, because
And many more to come.
more to come, more to come. Yes, definitely.
So, talk to me a little bit about the process of building it, engineering wise. What was some back pain or pain in general you saw there?
Alex, we have been building trading systems for institutional clients for last 30 years.
Mm.
Every major bank in the world globally has traded on the platforms that we have built,
Wow.
trading trillions of dollars of transactions, like what I was saying earlier. That's our domain. We have been building. Remember, we were talking about trust and confidence, right? That's what we have been doing for a long time. We have even built the first
First
generation trading system for TrueBit, who's one of the you know biggest name in the fixed income trading, along with the work that we have done on the retail bond trading platform for TradeWeb and BondPoint, which is now owned by ICE, which owns New York Stock Exchange. So we've been building trading systems for a long time. Honestly, building FGC TMS took tremendously long time because this business is not simple. Fixed income trading business is complex,
sounds
and
very complex.
it is very complex. It took us a very long time to get every aspect of the fixed income trading business under control, whether it is trading in the marketplace, multiple venues, multiple protocols. Then how do you clear settlement, reporting, risk, compliance, risk, hedging, P&Ls, payout, margining. There are pay downs. There's just tremendous set of things that needed to be taken care of. Again, we have an experience, we understand these markets, and that's what helped us. But it was a lot of work to get to where we are. A lot of pain. In fact, that is one of the reason why we don't see too many companies and people trying to do this, because it's a significant amount of intellectual, technical, and resource commitment to be able to get to where we are in terms of our product.
And I would assume a lot of the global geographies would have different things, both in terms of KYC, compliance, whatnot, or I don't know, uh, in general. So they would have a lot of different demands. So how does a client in the US benchmark differently than a client in the Middle East?
Yeah, you're right. Regulatory landscape and compliance landscape is very geographical, right? So, US is different reg and compliance than UK, than Europe, than Asia, than whoever else. And it's a complex problem. There is no standard answer. A lot of the financial institutions have tried creating a framework that is the most constricted one across all the reg and compliance environment, such that they can trade everywhere in the world with a standard set of controls. But that doesn't work, because once you over restrict your businesses, your profitability goes down and all that. To answer your question, you just have to know. You just have to know what are the local reg and compliance needs are, and then have the tools conform to local rule book that is needed. So again, it's a complex problem. Creating the most restricted sense of rule book that works across the world hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. That means you have to take a pragmatic approach and support what is needed for each geography.
And I would assume that the problems you have with each geography impact significantly what we aforementioned, the engineering side of things as well, right?
Yes, yes, it does. It does increase the complexity quite a bit. You have to know and understand the rules and regulations, the intent behind them, and how to make sure that you can operate within that environment in a profitable way. So yes, it's critical. It is important, and right now, we do have the product working for US and European customers, and that's where we are focusing in. And you're right. To go into any other geography, you have to do that additional 10-20% of the work to make sure that you conform to local rules and regulation.
Got it. Got it. Okay. The last bit of our interview, I want to talk a little bit about the future.
Um, Look, I think uh, future is very interesting from where we are where we are today and what we are thinking. This goes back to your earlier question of AI. Uh, we strongly believe that uh, most businesses have a moat, right? What makes you defensible against your competitor and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And in most cases, the moat has been your domain knowledge, what you know about the industry, right? And in our case, the technology, the knowledge of technology, and how do you build the systems and everything else that goes with it. The third moat is, of course, your cost efficiencies. And I think all the three modes are disappearing very fast for most of the companies, right? You can go into AI and create the knowledge of what needs to be done very, very quickly. You can take a screen, you can take a document, you can ask question, and you don't have to understand every aspect of the business, but what you need to know about the business to do your job has become extremely easy to get, right? The information is available. AI has disrupted technology, in terms of how do you do the development, right? There is a reason why every big company is going after vibe coding or AI DLC or whatever you want to call it. And it's big. Look at Claude Code has put Anthropic in a way where they are likely to be more than $1 trillion company already. We know companies who have, by charging $20 per user per month for coding tools, have a revenue of $1 billion. Imagine the number of users you need, right? So your moat around your business knowledge is thinning by the day. Your moat around technology is thinning every day. And because of those two, your costs are going down as well. So what is the future, right? For us, the future is continue to deliver incremental values to the business as fast as we can, right?
But do you think in 10 years from now, the discussion over AI is going to be considered primitive?
Look, I've seen the world when internet was and was disrupting all the businesses and all that. As a CEO of the company, my goal is how do I continue to make sure I continue to generate profitability, provide value to my customer, and stay relevant.
Mm.
Anybody, in my opinion, who's thinking out more than 2 years out in today's day and age could be making some serious mistakes. Right? You have to take calculated next steps to stay relevant, to stay profitable, and continue to bring value to the customers. And the opportunities will come to you to leverage what you know and what you do to the betterment of your customers and your own company. That's our view. That's our view. We are not thinking out too far. We are saying, how do we solve the problem for the next 6 months to 2 years and have the things sort out as we go because things are changing way too fast.
That's an amazing view to have. I don't think a lot of people have that view.
West Coast companies, who take a very different approach and they say, how can I disrupt an existing industry whereby we can impact a life of 500 million to few billion people, and they have the time, money, and resources to try some of those things, and they do. From our perspective, what I call East Coast way of doing business is how do you stay relevant, focused, and profitable?
How are you going to stay relevant? And what do you see the biggest disruptions being in the next 6 months to 2 years then?
Yep, yep, totally agreed.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. 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 Um, I think in terms of all the questions I had, I'm coming to a little bit of a conclusion. I really appreciate the insights and the perspective you have and the way of doing business. To be honest with you, Ashok.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for listening.
I suppose I have two final questions. One is for anyone watching, what are your parting words? And the second one is, what is the best way for somebody to reach out to you?
Sure. So, it may sound maybe a bit cliched, or maybe being said quite often. I say, if you are a business leader, be afraid every day. We you need to stay up on your toes, look at what's happening in the industry on a regular basis, see how your business is being under offense, and how do you defend yourself, right? I think, um, and by the way, I'm sure if you look at some of the biggest leaders in the world, they are saying the same thing. So we're not saying something new. We're just saying that, um, be cognizant of what's happening, leverage the best way you can, and continue to stay relevant and profitable. But be afraid. Be afraid of your business every day. You have to have heightened sensitivity around what's happening in the world of business today. How to reach out? Very simple. Our website is fintechglobal.center. My email is ashok at fintechglobal.center, and I am on LinkedIn as Mittal. I don't think these days it's difficult to find you if you know the name of the person or the company today.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing this. It was great having you and wish you guys all the best.
Thank you, Alex. It has been a pleasure, talking to you, and you really made me think about some of the questions and the answers. But I really enjoyed the conversation.
I appreciate that.